So we use the word bifurcation, one of my favorite all-time words in the intro here. There are, I take it, winners in this space, like United, Delta, maybe Alaska, and others. And then there are some that are not winners. What separates the good from the not so good?
Yeah, I want to choose my words carefully, but I think we can confidently say that COVID turned out to be a structural positive for certain airlines, right? So COVID obviously wreaked havoc on supply chains. So there are material constraints on the industry's ability to grow. It drove significant wage rate escalation at discount airlines, and they really needed those lower wages to compete. I think COVID also, provided a boost for premium demand. And there also seems to be this growing consumer pivot from goods to experiences, particularly international experiences. So you're absolutely right. There has been a bifurcation. It comes down to business models. The airlines that cater, to premium, to international, and have robust frequent flyer programs are the ones that are really kidnapping, capturing the bulk of industry profitability. Meanwhile, those airlines that only cater to consumers that care about low ticket prices and don't have loyalty, those airlines are struggling.
I don't mean to make this about me, but it's interesting you mentioned this. I just booked a trip to Europe for the summer, and I went ahead and I splurged for a higher price seat because I want the comfort, I want the experience, and I suspect there are a lot of people who feel that way. So the airlines where that is a big part of their core business, they're winning.
Yes, that's correct. And we saw that in the data, this last week. I mean, premium revenue for Delta in the first quarter was up 10%. Meanwhile, traditional economy was only up 4%. Even American Express today, talked about greater growth in spending on travel and entertainment versus goods and services. So, yes, you are the demographic that the profitable airlines
I feel very fortunate.
Are targeting. So thank you on their behalf.
You recently upgraded JetBlue. Why?
Yes. Well, look, JetBlue is in the midst of a turnaround. I do think the prior leadership, under the prior leadership, there was an unacceptably sort of high tolerance for loss production. But the company has a new CEO. They've got a new president. We've seen pretty aggressive cancellations of cities like Baltimore, Kansas City, which were large money losers. At the same time, you have an activist shareholder, Carl Icahn, who's involved. Very negative sentiment on the name. I would say that the upgrade wasn't driven so much by valuation as it was the potential for sentiment to begin shifting in JetBlue's favor. And that, of course, could help the stock.
Demand seems, according to the CEOs, their demand seems to be very strong. Is there any sign of any slowing in demand that you can detect?
Quite honestly, no. I've taken the question as to whether, some of the safety, headlines might impact demand at a high level. It doesn't seem to be changing consumer behavior. I obviously, I see the occasional social media posts, planes are falling apart. I'm going to drive to Orlando instead, which is just ridiculous. I mean, that's like buying cancer. I mean, no offense, but who thinks that way? So we're really not seeing any slowdown in unrelentingly strong demand. But again, it skews towards premium, and it's also very robust in longer haul international markets.
Let's talk a little bit about the safety issues that have bedeviled Boeing and then, as a knock-on effect, some of the airlines. Do you expect that the worst of that may be behind us as an industry, and how material have those disruptions been for some of the carriers?
Well, look, from where I sit, and I'm not an engineer, I'm not a mechanic, I'm not a pilot, there really has not been an appreciable increase in maintenance events, but there has been an increase in media scrutiny. Obviously the Alaska door issue was one of a kind, highly unusual.
Right.
But things like the occasional compressor stall, wheel issues, the occasional plane that vacates the runway, I don't want to spook anybody, but on a global basis, just given the sheer number of flights every day, these aren't all that unusual. I think here in the U.S., it's a little like the summer of the shark, if you remember that one.
We got to leave it there. Jamie, thanks very much. Have a great weekend, my friend.